as proof of the fact that I don't think Donald Trump has any clue what he's talking about, we now go to video of Donald Trump over the weekend being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos on ABC's This Week. If you don't like cringing, you might want to tune away from this next segment. Donald Trump has talked for a while now about his immigration ideas. He's going to deport the illegal immigrants. He's going to build a wall, blah, blah, blah. George Stephanopoulos decided to speak very specifically to Donald Trump about how he would do that. Let's discuss the costs. Let's discuss how it would be done. And Donald Trump imploded, completely fell apart. It became abundantly clear he has no idea what he's talking about. Let's take a look at this video. Brace yourselves. Get the children out of the room because this is absolutely cringeworthy. Take a look.
Look at this from the American Action Forum conservative group. They say the federal government would have to spend roughly $400 to $600 billion to address the 11.2 million undocumented immigrants. Each immigrant would have to be apprehended, detained, legally processed, transported to his or her home country. In turn, this would shrink the labor force by 11 million workers, reduce real GDP by $1.6 trillion. Are you willing to pay that price, and where are you going to get the money?
Well, first of all, they're wrong. And, you know, Jeb is a very low-energy person. He'd never be able to do it. He's the one that said they come out of an act of love, okay? This is an act of love. These are people coming, and many of them, you look at what's happening with the crime, many of them are really causing tremendous problems. And they would be out really fast, immediately. First day we start that movement. But we need a wall. We have to get a wall. We need great security, and we're going to have a wall that will be not let people in, George. And by the way, legally, if you're legal, you can come in, and we'll
but let me press you on the cost right there, Mr. Trump. They're saying $400, $600 billion. It would require big government apparatus to take everybody down. If you don't think those numbers are right, how much is it going to cost, and where are you going to get the money?
Well, it's costing us $130 billion a year, and that's peanuts compared to what the real cost is, George, for the way we have it now. You have so many illegals. We don't even know how many illegals. I hear 11 million. I hear 30 million. The government has no idea. We have lost control of our country. We've lost control of our borders. The government has no idea how many illegals there are. I've been hearing 11 million for 5 years. Then the other day I heard 30. Nobody has any idea.
So if there's no idea,
control.
How are you going to round them all up? Where are you going to get the money? Where are you going to get the forces? Exactly how are you going to do it? What are the specifics
George,
here?
It's called management. The first thing we have to do is secure the border, but it's called management. And we'll get people back in, the really good ones. We're going to expedite it so they get back in, so they can at least come in legally. But
you
we
keep
have to
declaring how you're going to do it, but you don't say how.
Excuse me, George?
You declare how you're going to do it, but you don't say how.
George, I'm telling you, it's called management. You can do this, and we can expedite the good ones to come back in. And everybody wants that, but they have to come in legally. We have a country. We're a country of laws. We're a country of borders. How can you have a country without a border?
That's right, Lewis. Donald Trump would do it through management. Well, I'm convinced that sounds like a pretty logical strategy to me.
Management. He is doing what many politicians are guilty of, and that's making promises and saying you're going to do things with no explanation as to how, and usually things that are very expensive. But can he manage his way through this?
I don't think so. And, you know, never mind that the costs combined with the GDP loss would be staggering. Never mind that Donald Trump claims to be a small government conservative, and what he's suggesting would be a hugely intrusive, large government apparatus, as George Stephanopoulos accurately points out. I wonder, this is the concern I have, because it's obvious Donald Trump knows nothing about immigration. Will the Trump fans abandon him when they realize that he doesn't even understand his own ideas, many of which would require absurd government spending or intrusion, which conservatives claim to oppose, as well as violations of U.S. law or trade policy? Will the Trump supporters abandon him when they realize that, or are they sticking with him?
I don't see his followers abandoning him. I think he's already made it pretty clear that he doesn't understand these issues, and they're sticking with him. How much worse is it going to get? I guess if he wins the primary and has to debate whoever, it might become more clear. But are they going to vote for the Democrat after that? No.
Probably not. And if you look at some of the comments online to video clips of this exchange and news articles written about this, there are conservatives who are saying, oh, George Stephanopoulos was being overly aggressive and sandbagging Trump. George Stephanopoulos just asked the question, how will you do this? And then said, hey, here's some data about this. How will you do this? And Trump had no answer other than management. If your critique is of George Stephanopoulos, you're either willfully ignorant or just blind to the reality of that exchange.
It was like being angry at Katie Couric for asking Sarah Palin, what do you read? And, was that sandbagging? I don't think so. Was that gotcha journalism?
Louis, that was a completely unfair question. Nobody knows what they read unless they've been prepped on what they read by their staff. And that was absolutely gotcha journalism.
Yes. Well, her staff, I guess they weren't predicting a question like that. It seems like an easy one.
Make sure to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/dpakman, and follow producer Louis on Twitter. He's at Louis Motomedy. Back after the break.